Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of Newsflash. We have a great one for you today. On the show, we're talking about a debate, which candidates and topics got the most time and attention, who did the best, and so much more. Also, take a listen more debate, fallout, debate talk here on the show today. A day after bruising a really rough debate, Joe Biden is on the defensive and Kamala Harris is charging. She is killing it, especially after a dominant performance last night. But can she keep her own position straight? We'll question that as well. Also, Pete Buttigieg uses not the best. Continues to be just not the best. We'll say that. Pelosi and the right-wing Democrats, we'll talk about them. And Ken Cuccinelli blaming the father of the father-daughter pair who drowned at the border, the immigrant child and father, for his child's death. So yeah, he blamed the father. He thinks it's the father's fault that they ended up drowning in the Rio Grande. So it is absolutely incredible. I don't even know who Ken Cuccinelli is. He is a man who fell up the Trump ladder, that's for sure. Became the acting director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services last May. So who even knows what position that is? Like, there's so many of these semi-police law enforcement positions devoted to terrorizing immigrants. I can't even keep them straight anymore, but we'll get to that. We'll also just give a shout out to Marianne Williamson for just chilling everyone out last night. I tweeted out, I would really just love to hang out with Marianne Williamson last night, and like within the snap of a finger, someone was like linking me to Marianne Williamson's website. It was just, but honestly, shout out to Marianne Williamson for just being the chillest person there. Just so chill. On the debate stage, I will meet you with the sword of the light, or whatever she said. She's just absolutely the best. It's just very chill. Anyway, yeah, and let's start off the debate with some stats. And I mean, honestly, this may be a little bit of a hot take, but I really don't think that anybody on the first debate stage stands much of a chance of really being president. You got Elizabeth Warren there, probably with the only really outside shot of being president. But I mean, I don't see what constituencies she's going to hold. I mean, she may be able to push, and this is definitely going to be something that Bernie Sanders is going to have to fight for. That's for sure. Like, he is going to have to fight hard to win the battle for the left. But I think he's winning that battle and has a pretty comfortable lead. And I don't think he's going to give that up very easily. There's going to be a lot of perception in the media because in Washington politics, in the Washington media bubble, like, it is a lot more of a comfortable thing to say, well, Elizabeth Warren is the true left one. Elizabeth Warren is pushing the party to the left more than Bernie Sanders, which is something I just read in preparation for the show, and it made me it was pretty wild to read, I'll say that. Bernie Sanders not having as much of an influence on these debates, thinking that Elizabeth Warren pushed the party more to the left than Bernie Sanders. I mean, yeah, I got love for nothing but love, but I do have a lot of love for Elizabeth Warren. And the fact is, that idea that she pushed the party more to the left than Bernie Sanders ever did is a absolute joke, and it just requires literally not paying attention or being willfully ignorant to the past 3-4 years of politics, because, or at least general Democratic Party dynamics as a whole. So, I mean, they're going to have to fight very hard to keep that coalition. They're going to have to fight hard to get that coalition. I think Bernie Sanders has a lead. Elizabeth Warren appeals mainly to white liberals in big city areas. And the question is, can you win the rest of the country? Can you win the Rust Belt? I know I sound incredibly pundit-y here, but I think that's the trick case. I mean, the media likes her. Third Way likes her. But is she really going to carry out for the long haul? Like, is she really going to be the candidate who can truly bring change? As Bernie Sanders' opening statement, or closing statement last night, which was the best closing statement by far given by anybody on that stage. I mean, you can at me if you want, I don't even care. But it's just the facts. But what we are really talking about is the fact that there is this battle going on, and that's probably going to decide who's going to end up being the front runner of the Democratic Party. Because Kamala Harris is going to do her best to try to push herself as left and as left as possible. But the thing is, she isn't going to really, I think, be able to make a convincing case. Like she will be met, hopefully, with strong resistance from both Warren and Bernie's campaign at every segment, because she is not really who she says she is. She's not a left-wing candidate. She hasn't fought for these left-wing ideals. Her career as a prosecutor, sure, it had some good moments. Sure, she has a powerful background, as we found out last night, and she was last night the winner of that debate. But the thing was, she has that record of being very unfriendly to urban community, black communities in California. She locked black kids up for things like missing school and was very happy about it. Embraced the role of being a cop. Embraced the role of kind of a punitive justice that she wanted to see take place in those communities. And how can she square that with her message of restorative justice, with her message of reaching out to these communities and really connecting with them? And I think that's something that she's going to have to really, she's going to struggle to. And what Bernie and Elizabeth, I guess, have to do is make that narrative. And again, a lot of what the media says here is probably going to be proven to be wrong, because it always is, at least in the past, since 2015. Like, they've been wrong about everything here. They're probably going to misread the situation. And I think, yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. Bernie Sanders did not have a winning performance in the debate. Kamala Harris did. Elizabeth Warren, I don't think really, and these are my takeaways from the past two nights. I mean, she was good. She performed. She wasn't a force. She wasn't dominating like Kamala Harris dominated on that stage. Kamala's a great debater, a great cross-examiner. Elizabeth Warren, not really so much. She's a lot more of a policy wonk type figure. But really, what's happening is the race for the Democratic nomination, in my opinion, was playing out mainly in the center for podiums in that debate stage last night. Sure, Elizabeth Warren, I mean, I really struggle with her possibly having a chance and possibly not having a chance. But the thing was, she didn't seem to be, I mean, she didn't totally dominate the spotlight. Bill de Blasio was pretty good on that debate. So was Julian Castro. Like, she didn't dominate it. She is going to have to struggle and fight pretty hard to get the left position away from Bernie. She's been embraced by the Washington media types, which isn't the best, whether you're running in the Democratic or Republican primaries, and she's going to really have to fight that. And I don't know if that's a battle she can win. I don't want her to win it, granted, but I mean, if I thought that she could win it, I would tell you I think that she could win it. I think it's going to be tough, but not impossible for her to win it. It's going to be something definitely worth watching, that continuing dynamic for the soul of the left, which is definitely a battle that's going to be taking place. All right, I do want to go through every candidate here and talk a little bit about winners and losers and stuff like that from each debate. Let's start with Biden. He devoted his time originally to the economy. Then he talked a little bit more about healthcare. He talked about immigration. He talked about gun control. Talked about climate change. Talked about foreign policy. He got the most talking time in the debate with 13 minutes, 19 seconds. Close behind was Kamala Harris with 12:16. Then Buttigieg 11:21. Sanders behind him with 10:58. Then Michael Bennet really sneaking his way up there and getting a lot of talking time there, even more than Hickenlooper. Gillibrand, with her very annoying voice, I have to say. Gillibrand and Swalwell, probably the two most annoying, pestilent creatures in the debate last night. Oh, I could not stand them. Yeah, but Hickenlooper, Williamson, she really butted her way in there. I give her credit. She came in out of nowhere, and she really, you could tell the moderators, especially in the beginning, were not focused on her whatsoever. They didn't want to ask her anything. They didn't want to talk to her at all. No. But she butted her way in there, and give her credit for that. She got her message. She got her politics of love message out there. So, and she looked pretty awesome while doing it. She really made an impression. I have to say that. And I mean, she's not going to become president, obviously, but she is definitely a lot of fun to see. And well, I mean, she doesn't have the worst policy positions to top it all off as well. Yeah, let's start with Biden. He talked about economy, healthcare. He talked, I think, the most, judging on this graph. He talked about everything pretty much evenly, but talked probably the most about immigration. And if I had to say civil rights, but I'm not sure. He really had a pretty bruising debate. He was the thing is, he was on the wrong end of the worst moment of the debate for him, or the biggest moment of the debate. He was on the wrong end of that. Harris was on the winning end, where he pretty much appeared to say with Kamala Harris, when literally Kamala Harris having the cojones to professionally and very respectfully, succinctly, and effectively turn around to Joe Biden, stare him down and say, Joe, what you said about those segregationists, those comments, that was pretty hurtful. That wasn't good for me to hear. As a woman of color, and she you could tell she was pretty pissed by it, and she very effectively confronted him about this in a way that didn't appear like unbelievably nasty that she'd get slammed by the president, but was effective and was harsh. So give her credit for that. Here's the clip.
It was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, there was a little girl in California.
All right, before, I do want to rewind that because she was about to say something pretty impactful there. But that's the important point that I tried to hit on the last one of the last two episodes that we talked about this, is not only is Joe Biden praising these segregationists, praising these awful people, if that weren't bad enough, he literally worked with these senators to oppose busing. He worked with them on racist policies. That's the key idea here. He worked with them on awful, awful, awful policies that still have a very personal impact and were key policies in perpetrating the continuing racist legacy of this country long into 1970s, 1960s, etc., and throughout the civil rights movement. He was working through that. He's been in politics for 40 years and has had a lasting impact on stuff through the crime bill, through this, and she greatly connected here back to herself. Watch.
Busing. And, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
It's a mischaracterization of my position across the board.
You could see it gets even a little bit intense because Joe Biden is like, oh, it's a mischaracterization of my position across the board. And I have to say, and it gets worse and worse and worse for him from there. We're gonna go into it, trust me. But I have to say, what a moment there for her to come and say, you literally had a major impact on my life. Your policy had a major impact. Your idea had a major impact on my life. And it's not positive. It's not positive. Well, I do want to play the full clip here.
Characterization of my position across the board. I did not praise racist. That is not true.
I don't get where this idea is coming to. We heard him say it. We heard him say it time and time again. These were they're civilians. They're easy to get along with. They're nice guys. That's clear enough for anybody.
One. Number two, if we want to have this campaign litigated on who supports civil rights and whether I did or not, I'm happy to do that. I was a public defender. I didn't become a prosecutor. I came out and I left a good law firm to become a public defender.
That's honestly a good knock on Kamala Harris.
When in fact my city was in flames because of
it gets worse. It gets worse.
Assassination of Dr. King. Number one. Number two, as the Vice President of the United States, I work with a man who, in fact, we worked very hard to see to it we dealt with these issues in a major way.
That's an awful response because you can say, I just worked with Barack Obama. No, you did nothing to do that. He wasn't even very effective on it. He wasn't very effective on stopping these kind of police shootings. You didn't deal with them in a major way. He didn't deal with them. You certainly didn't deal with them. So, that's not a coherent response. All we know is your legacy with the crime bill. All we know is your legacy with writing this crime bill that put black people away for a myriad period of time, incredibly long than they should, for low-level drug offenses. He targeted black people and brown people in the inner cities and tried to put them away for a long time, called them all sorts of awful names, criminals, just